joint resolution makes mention of Negroes, or blacks, or colored, so it makes reference of freed slave. And as we know, the Moorish nation has never been a slave of any nation in the world, in the history of the world. The joint resolution 48 was adopted, and it was December 5th, 1785. December 5th, 1785, they adopted the joint resolution to put the Negroes in a class by themselves under, like he was speaking of, military protection. Military is based on the federal government.
Right.
Okay? So the Negro population in the United States are, again, like you said, not a citizen of the state because they couldn't be conferred a citizen of the state according to Roger B. Taney's decision in Dred Scott versus Sandford. They couldn't be citizens. And so in order for them to have any kind of protection at all within the state, they had to be protected by the federal government against the state, against the state citizens. So actually, whenever you read the 14th Amendment and you get to the point where it says people shall receive equal protections under the law, the equal protections that they're talking about is the military protection. You're supposed to be protected by police, sheriffs, marshals, Marines, Air Force, anything that does deal with the federal government. But they don't extend these protections. They just extend it to you in the courtroom under the 14th Amendment, under whatever privilege that they granted you. You don't have a free national birthright, so you have a privilege that we wrote for you. This is yours, and anybody bothers you with this, just let us know and we'll protect you. That's the same military protection. So when they talk about protecting you under military order, that means that if anybody violates the federal law that the Congress established for you, then there will be some executive branch to come in to take. As if you know that during the days of Martin Luther King, he marched in Montgomery, and when he went to, I think it was Tennessee, he had military protection. The military protection was because they didn't have constitutional protection. Because if you had actual constitutional protection, again, the pen is mightier than the sword. No one has to actually need military protection, but what you need is to be protected by order of the law, and that all the states and national government be barred by the Constitution that will protect you.
So before we end on that note, I want to just mention a case here pertaining to, it's actually the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment is in it. It talks about the 13th Amendment. It states here, this amendment was to prevent any question in the future as to the effects of the war and the President's proclamation of emancipation upon slavery. And its obvious purpose was to forbid all shades and conditions of African slavery. It had no other office, and its real effect was more for the future than the present. As to the matter of the social and political rights which we are here to address, the African was left just where Section 37 of Article 1 of our state constitution left him, and subject to all the inconveniences and burdens incident to his color and race, except his former one of servitude. He was a person whose place and office in the body politics was yet to be designated and established. He possessed no political rights in the usual and proper sense of that term, though through or had none conferred by this enactment. So it's very important for us to understand that when they didn't create these so-called laws, they still are granted privileges, and privileges can be taken away.
Absolutely. Now, with that, one then would gather from this conversation that we're having here that the first thing that they probably ought to do is claim what?
Nationality.
Okay, very obvious.
So we want to thank everyone for joining us in addressing the Negro problem, and we can go around the panel to have one last address. I'm sorry, Elder Von.
I would like to address the issue. Well, Negro is the modern day.
Thank you. You know what? That was very good. Everyone segued, the black, everything was not nervous anymore.
Jesus and Barata together, they read the sacred books.
I told you.
How nervous.
Among the Buddhist priests was one who saw a lofty wisdom in the words that Jesus spoke.
You do it all the time.
It was Barada Arabo. Together, Jesus and Barada read the Jewish Psalms and prophets.
You know why he falls in line? Because you know why? It's one circle and one surface.
And as they read and talked about the possibility of man is the marvel of the universe. He is a part of everything, for he has been a living thing on every plane of life. Time was when man was not, and then he was a bit.
Yes.
Well, I guess that'll be part two.
Yeah. If part 2 comes, we have to see.
You wanna give it your camera?
Right, let's get it over to us. Okay.
How did we do, Natalie?
Yeah.
I think it looked good. It wasn't quite an hour. What we'll probably end up doing is putting the singers in with you all for a 1 hour show, 58-minute show. And then,
How much time did we have?
I think you got to 50 minutes, just you all
Got
talking.
8 minutes.
Okay. And then the singers were 6 minutes, so you might have to add a public service announcement in there, but we'll put it on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was nice.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I think you handle things well. I just, wanted to speed it
Recording,
along.
camcorder?
Yeah, I
A little
think,
bit.
I think we
We'll start taking it.
I realized that when they said half an hour, we get to the last remedy and then there were time, so.
For another time. Something happened, something major happened, and,
All right.
you need to be on again.
Okay.
Okay. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
This is my family,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, the babes.